Welcome back to the Navy Sports Magazine. Pleased to be joined now by the Director of Track and Field at the Naval Academy, Jamie Cook. And you've, with the places you've been, even before you got here to Navy, you've coached some elite athletes to some amazing heights. However, nowhere along the way was there a pandemic chapter that you could go back to in terms of training your athletes. What has it been like over the last year trying to keep your people focused, elite, and also worried about their mental health with everything that's been going on around them here at the Naval Academy over the last year?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's been a challenge. It's been a very, very difficult, and you just kind of take one day at a time, and a lot of challenges being thrown at you each day, and you got to learn to react and evaluate the situation and make the best choices based on the entire group and what's best for individuals as well.
For your team overall, when you have great leaders within your ranks, as you do the Sydney Barbers of the world, how much does that make your job with with what you're trying to establish on a daily basis? How much easier does that make that, having those kind of people lead within your group like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's helpful. I mean, we have a lot of good senior leaders. I mean, Clayton Thompson stands out to me. He's been probably the biggest impact person on our team. Sam Ori has done a fantastic job on the women's side. I mean, those two really, really stand out to me the most. I think they've done a great job just kind of bringing the team together when it needs to be done, communicating with them outside of the times when we weren't even allowed to see them and be around them. So, yeah, it's been really important to have the seniors step up and event group leaders, even some younger kids who have taken that leadership role when they haven't been seniors, but they've earned the respect of the group.
Obviously, if a long run period for your kids, they were able to rebound and still accomplish an enormous amount of goals. 16 kids right now headed to NCAA East preliminaries. What's been the key for those performers being able to get through that period and still accomplish a lot of the goals you all set out?
I think it's just staying focused on whatever the next challenge might be. If with those Army, Patriot League championships, IC4A, ECAC championships, now regionals, NCAA nationals, and then the Olympic trials. I think it's, giving them a goal, setting a standard for them to be the best they can be, because the opportunities that they've been given weren't even allowed last year, and we never know when they'll be taken away again. So I think they feel like a sense of urgency to do the best they can. And so every day in practice, or the group would have a chat, and they'd understand, like, hey, we got to get after it every day because tomorrow's not promised. So living by that mindset has really allowed those guys to thrive this year. And I think it was allowed really because of the senior leadership that we had, and also some of the kids on the team just are just unbelievable competitors and really, really good leaders. So it's just been really rewarding, but extremely exhausting as well.
I can imagine. Professionally, for you, what has the last year been like? And you obviously, you're as good as it gets when it comes to teaching the art of track and field, but just professionally on a global scale, what's the last year been like?
Professionally, sometimes it's hard, because you're trying to stay focused on what the athletes need, but at the same point, it's affecting some of the things that you're trying to do too, personally or family wise or whatever it might be. So you try to keep things segmented to a degree, but you're still trying to focus on what their needs are. Professionally, it's been hard because sometimes there isn't a lot of there's not much of a template, with these type of situations. So you're constantly gathering as much information as you can and evaluating the information that you're processing to make the best determination possible for the group and for each individual athlete. So, it's a lot of worrying, really, a lot of evaluating and trying to make the best decision you can at that moment, and then moving on, communicating and reevaluating again and adjusting. And but always having confidence in the athlete to know that they can perform no matter the situation. So I think that's key, is trying to get the kids to understand that they're able to handle more than they really realize. And if we're asking them to do that, then we have to be able to do the same ourselves.
One of the things you've been able to accomplish here, and from talking to your athletes, one of the things they consistently point to and to give praise to is the fact that you unified both programs, bringing the men and women together essentially under one umbrella. What was the thought process behind that, and has that gone the way that you and the administration had hoped when you did that?
Yeah, when I interviewed, I think it was something brought up in the process, just trying to figure out, did it make more sense to combine the programs or to keep the men separate and the women separate? I think after some talks with Chet, he felt like it would make the most sense to try to go the direction of combining the programs. And I thought, I've been part of programs at Penn where we were separate, and I was part of a program at Oregon where we were combined. And there's pluses and minuses to both situations. The resource piece, I think, is what really made sense when I try to convey that to him, was that you can utilize your resources a little bit better with 6 paid coaches to target athletes in certain event areas and not feel like you're kind of doing dual duty. So if you're also sharing a resource like the indoor track or the outdoor track, everybody's practicing at once. And if you coordinate those things, it's a little easier because we have a large team and the time frame of practice time isn't very big. So I think it's just more of an efficiency piece that made sense to be able to do. And it was met with some resistance from some people. And it is what it is. We're trying to I was hired to win and develop leaders and get them to be able to compete and fulfill that part of the physical mission. So I feel like we've done a really good job. But it wasn't easy.
To that extent, based on what they have accomplished this year under these circumstances, does it mean even a little bit more, give it a little extra, attaboy and attagirl based on what they've had to overcome to still have the type of success that they've enjoyed this season?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think it's important to recognize your successes, and especially in times when success wasn't even really mentioned because we were so far removed from the situation. We had 23 days off and we had a week to prepare for Army. The expectation wasn't really high, but I was confident that if I could just get my competitors to compete, we would keep the meet close to see if we could win. And we were lucky enough to win both. So one thing we talk about, especially indoors, is when we talked about that meet winning up at Army, is you have to celebrate those victories because those guys put so much time and effort into it that, and it's a teaching moment to say that there's going to be a situation in your life where you don't feel like you're very confident or things are stacked against you and you were able to come out of it with a win. And we talk about those things as bankable moments. It's like you're making deposits, constantly making deposits so that one day you're going to withdraw that and understand that in the next tough situation, you're going to be able to rely upon the fact that you've done it before. And I think that's really crucial for our group because we've done it a few times now. And I think even outdoors winning the Patriot League meet and for the first time ever winning the IC4A ECAC meet, kids were just able to compete and they trusted themselves and they trusted the process for us getting through this tough time.
Finally, you mentioned some of the great places, obviously, you've been. Few sports and college athletics give you the opportunity to work with as many kids as track and field does. As a coach and a coaching staff, what are the keys to managing that large of a roster and trying to give each one of those athletes an opportunity to maximize what they have to give the team as much as they can each and every day, and certainly when they qualify to be at the meet level as your top athletes do? What's the challenge of putting all of that together, because you all have one of the biggest sports in all of college athletics?
I look at it a little differently than most people. My background is just multi-sports, and I was a decathlete, so I get bored really easily. So from the beginning, I've talked to our staff and talked to our kids about trying to just be the best athlete they can be. And we use that term a lot. It's just be an athlete. And so we're asking our kids to be put in very, very uncomfortable situations. In their careers, they're going to be put in uncomfortable situations. They're going to learn to fail, but they're also going to learn to succeed. So we ask them to do a bunch of different things. And it's like a giant gym class that I try to create that kind of environment for our team. And we'll ask kids to do a bunch of different stuff, because you have to be well-rounded and you have to be willing to sacrifice your individual goals for the team. The great thing about our sport is there's no politics. Right. If you jump 23 feet and the next person jumps 22 feet, you're getting a spot. So it is a meritocracy. People understand that the best people will compete, but we're giving them plenty of opportunities to showcase their skills. And we want to find an area where they can be successful. Emma Foster now is our school record holder in the javelin. She was hurt her freshman year, sitting out, and we were throwing a football around, and she threw it back to me. And I said, "Wait a sec, throw that again." And I said, "Where'd you get an arm like that? How far did you throw the javelin?" She goes, "Coach, we don't have javelin in Texas." She goes, "But I grew up playing softball, so she's a school record holder. She might go to the Olympic trials this year." Like, that's the type of stuff that you can't be willing to not at least attempt something new. We have open tryouts for our group to say, try whatever you want. If we can help you in any way, it's going to give you confidence. It's going to help the team. It's a win-win all around. So our coaching staff is pretty diverse. They've coached a lot of different events and they understand the team component. So, and it's fun. The kids have fun doing it. So we create a competitive environment, but they also have a lot of fun trying new things and learning how to compete against their teammates in practice, which is a big reason that they are confident when they compete against opposing teams.
Jamie, appreciate the time today. Continued success and best of luck to your remaining athletes here with what remains of the spring season. Appreciate the time today.
No problem. Thanks a lot.